really just want to get back to being myself. I want to get back to a place where I feel good about me. I feel good about my body. I feel good about my life, and there's peace. You know, for as long as I can remember, I spent a lot of time trying to be the perfect version of myself for other people, and I think that in that I ended up losing myself. And marriage has been very difficult and challenging because of the things that I've endured during this marriage. And as I'm approaching 2 years of being married, I'm thankful to still have the desire to want to work through it. I'm thankful that my husband has a desire to want to work through it, but it is hard. It is definitely hard. I do not judge anyone who says that marriage is not for them. I do not judge anyone that is married that is doing what works for them. I know, biblically, we have a lot of things that the word tells us, and I think that if you are a Christian, or you do follow the word in whatever version of your Christianity that you practice, a lot of the answers are there. But there are also some things that I believe just in this day and age where we're growing up and where we are experiencing life, that are different. And basically, my main thing that I believe is true after my experiences being married is that when you get married, you are going to forever learn your partner. You're not going to keep them at the level that they were at when y'all got engaged, when y'all were courting. Things are going to change. Life events can happen that can make change in your relationship with each other, that can bring out different sides of you guys. It's important to understand that and know that, especially if you haven't been available to see your partner go through various emotions, and you're not really seeing the truest and realest version of your partner. And you may be surprised, and those things may be a turnoff for you. Those things may make you question your spouse and make you feel like you're not sure anymore. That's completely possible. For me, if you would have told me that I was going to go through half of the things that we went through, I don't know if I would have gotten married in the first place. I'm just going to tell you the truth. I'm not going to lie about it. But, and I'm sure that Des would say the same thing, but that's why it is marriage, and monogamy is not for everybody. I was listening to this podcast, popular podcast, and I lost the name of it, but essentially they were talking about monogamy and, marriage after 10 years. And I resonated with the clip that I saw. I did not listen to the full conversation. I just saw the little 6-minute snippet that was on IGTV. And I resonated with that because they were talking about how, stereotypically, women pursue monogamy with men and then get upset if their man wants them to have sex more than they do. And honestly, y'all, I think that works both ways. I think that women also deal with this issue. Women also have high sex drives that may be higher than their husbands and are often dissatisfied sexually. Not to mention relationship issues where your partner doesn't always satisfy you sexually, but then they want to have sex. That's a different can of worms, but it's the truth. To have a high sex drive, I feel that, there's levels to it. So it's you can have a high sex drive, but if you're with a person that doesn't sexually fulfill you, then your sex drive may decrease, or your desire to have sex with your spouse may decrease if they're not giving you what you need sexually. The other thing is, if you have a high sex drive and you want to have sex multiple times throughout the week, but your partner has a lower sex drive and they don't want to have sex multiple times throughout the week, you and your partner can have amazing sex, but then you're still not fulfilled because you're not getting it as much as you'd like. And there's so many things that can change sex drive. And that's what the wife in the conversation was saying. After kids can change sex drive. Stress can change sex drive. Things that you experience in your marriage can change your sex drive, and the intimacy that the two of you share with each other. When y'all do things to each other that hurt each other, it's hard to bounce back from that and just go back to the spring chickens that y'all were at the beginning of your marriage or your courtship, when y'all really never had any issues with each other. Y'all never really had any reason to not get along. All the arguments were petty, and the damage has not really been done. So it's like you have to work through those layers of damage and hurt that you may have experienced with each other in order to get that intimacy back. And that is something that me and my husband are currently working through. I'm not going to stay in a marriage where I'm not happy for 20 years. That's not what I desire for my life. I don't think God wants that for me. And that is where I think my differences are than a lot of the people that are like not in my generation. Why stay in a marriage where you're not happy? Why stay in a marriage where you and your spouse are not happy and your spouse is not willing to make the changes necessarily to be a better version of themselves for them, but and for you? You know, marriage is not a place to be selfish. And monogamy is definitely difficult when you're with somebody that is not willing to compromise. So it's like a level of compromising, a level of flexibility, a level of understanding, and a level of just understanding the journey.
Feet, turn left on South Fulton Parkway.
You have to understand the journey that you're in. Like, you're not going to always like be where you are currently in this moment. And, you know, certain situations can definitely be deal breakers. Like, don't feel like you're glued in, locked in for life if you're not feeling the experience. Like, you're gonna go through things, but you don't have to accept a life that just is unfulfilling and leading you to depression just because you decided to get married. You have to decide what the two of you both want so that you both can be happy. The man's happiness is important in this, but the woman's happiness is important too. So now I'm like, after being married, when I hear a man speaking about marriage, I try to listen to what the male perspective is, and I'm trying to be more open to listening to what my husband says as well. But just because you listen to understand does not mean that your needs are diminished. You don't have to like listen to what your spouse is saying and then feel like you have to compromise to a point where you just lose yourself and like you don't have anything left to give. A lot of women do that and then they end up losing themselves. And I'm just telling you from experience, I've lost myself. And I won't blame it completely on Desmond because it's not his fault completely. But it's really my fault, because when you're aware of self and you're sure of self, then you don't budge too much because of the relationships that you're in, because of the people that you are around, whether it be friends, family. But I spent a lot of my life trying to be an image of what my dad wanted me to be, what my mom wanted me to be, what I thought I was supposed to be as a parent, what I thought I was supposed to be as a girlfriend, as a fiance, as a wife for different men. You know, I was engaged to my son's dad at one point. So like that took a toll on me. And then as a young adult, just trying to navigate this life, like trying to set my life up for success and then being responsible for a little person and trying to set their life up for success after seeing the things that I endured. You know, it's a lot to process. So I encourage you to seek love and to seek marriage, but also understand that a lot of us prepared for weddings, but we didn't prepare for marriage. And there's really no way to really prepare for marriage, because certain things you're not going to get until you're married, and certain other things you're not going to understand unless you are rooted in something that's similar. It's going to be a challenge to have a successful marriage if you and your partner do not have the same values, and that's just that on that. Whether you're Christian or not, if your values are not the same, it's going to be things that cause you to bump heads. And sex drive can be that way too. Your sex drives really should align in some way, but honestly, that may not happen. And so that's when you get into all these conversations about polygamy and people not wanting to be married because they feel like you can't find that in one person. I think it's still possible to find it in that one person, but both of you have to be flexible, and that's just so important. Like, sometimes you're not going to be satisfied. sometimes he's not going to be satisfied. But as long as it's not, 85% of the time you feel like you're not satisfied, then you can be fulfilled together in that marriage. You know what I mean? And just also try not to compare yourself, because that's their life, that's not your life. And comparison is truly the thief of joy. When you sit there and you compare your basic ass life to celebrities and you're not on their level, you start feeling like something's wrong with you. When you compare yourself with your braggadocious friends on social media, you start thinking something's wrong with you. But you got to remember, people are choosing to let you see what they allow. Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, those are really in alignment with my YouTube channel. I've changed as a person. And if you knew me 5 years ago, you don't know me now. If you knew me a year ago, you may not know me now. If you knew me before I got married, you may not know me now, because I've went through so much and I'm just not the same person. But there are parts of the old me that I miss and that I want back. Number one being my dedication to a healthier body. I do not want to go into 30s being overweight, feeling like I just don't like my body. I have started, working out again, trying to take better care of myself, trying to be a better like person to Yo-sha, after neglecting myself. If anything you get from what I'm saying right now is really just me trying to tell y'all to love yourself, value yourself. I've been saying this for years. Talking to me, but talking to y'all too. Like, love yourself, value yourself, put yourself first. Don't put yourself on the back burner for your kids, for your spouse, for your significant other, for your family.
To exit right.
You have to keep yourself in mind, because if you forget about yourself, you are not going to be happy in the long run. So I really, really, really don't recommend that, guys. I'm going to go ahead and get off of this, because I'm trying to get to where I'm going without an accident or anything like that. But I just wanted to share that. Those are my thoughts about marriage. Those are my thoughts about self-love and self-care and social media and comparing yourself. And if you want me to do more car chats, just let me know.